2 hours after my friend's funeral, my doctor called. Please come to my office right now. Don't tell anyone. When I arrived, I began to tremble at the sight of the person standing in front of me. 2 hours after I buried my best friend, Dr. Martinez called. Sarah, I need you to come to my office right now. Don't tell anyone. His voice was shaking. Dr. Raymond Martinez, the man who delivered half the babies in our town, who never raised his voice, who'd been practicing family medicine for 34 years, sounded terrified. What's going on? I asked. Just come, please. It's about Emma. Emma, my best friend. The woman I'd just watched lowered into the ground 2 hours ago. I was still wearing my funeral dress. Black crepe that stuck to my skin in the humid September air still had cemetery dirt under my fingernails from when I'd thrown the first handful onto her casket, like some barbaric ritual that was supposed to make saying goodbye easier. It didn't. I'll be there in 10 minutes, I said. The clinic parking lot was empty when I arrived at 4:47 p.m. Dark, except for one light burning in Dr. Martinez's corner office on the second floor. The rest of the building, a converted Victorian house on Maple Street, looked abandoned. Even the reception area was dark. I knocked. The door opened immediately. Dr. Martinez looked 10 years older than yesterday. His face was gray, pale, sweating despite the air conditioning. His tie was loosened, and his white coat was wrinkled like he'd been wearing it for days. But what stopped my heart was the person standing beside him. Detective Rebecca Walsh, Homicide Division, Portland Police Bureau, 16 years on the force. I'd seen her at the funeral, hadn't thought anything of it. Emma knew a lot of people. But now, standing in this dim office with the door locked behind me, everything felt wrong. Sarah, Dr. Martinez said quietly, please sit down. My legs felt weak. What's happening? Detective Walsh stepped forward, mid-40s, sharp eyes, navy suit, badge clipped to her belt next to a holstered gun. Ms. Chen, your friend Emma Whitmore didn't die of pneumonia. The room tilted. What? She pulled out a manila folder from her briefcase, slid a stack of papers across the desk. Medical reports, lab results, photos I couldn't quite process. These are Emma's real toxicology results, Walsh said. The ones the hospital never saw. The ones Dr. Martinez ordered privately after Emma's death because something didn't sit right with him. I stared at the papers. Numbers. Medical terminology I didn't understand. But one word jumped out. Positive. What are you saying? My voice came out hoarse. Dr. Martinez's hands were shaking as he pointed to a line on the report. Emma was poisoned. Slowly. Systematically. Over approximately 7 months. My vision blurred. That's impossible. The hospital said pneumonia. They said her immune system was compromised from stress. The hospital was given falsified blood work. Walsh interrupted. Her voice was calm, professional, like she delivered this kind of news every day. Someone with medical access switched her samples before they were processed, made it look like a natural progression of illness. I couldn't breathe. The air conditioning was too cold, the fluorescent lights too bright. Who would? Her husband, Dr. Martinez said. David. Everything stopped. David Whitmore, Emma's husband of 8 years, the man who'd held her hand through every doctor's appointment, who'd sobbed at her bedside, who'd given that heartbreaking eulogy this morning about losing his soulmate, his best friend, the love of his life. No. I shook my head. That's insane. David loved her. He was devastated. Walsh opened another file. Bank statements, insurance policies, screenshots of text messages. He loved her money more, Walsh said flatly. $4.2 million life insurance policy, signed 11 months ago, 3 months before Emma started getting sick. My stomach turned. David is a surgical nurse at Mercy Hospital, Dr. Martinez added. His voice cracked. He had access to everything he needed. Thallium acetate, small doses mixed into her vitamins. It mimics autoimmune disorders perfectly. Hair loss, fatigue, respiratory issues, eventually organ failure. The details hit me in waves. Emma's hair falling out in clumps last spring. The way she'd gotten so thin I could see her ribs. How she couldn't walk upstairs without gasping for breath. I diagnosed her with lupus, Dr. Martinez said, and I heard the guilt in his voice. I thought, I was so sure it was autoimmune, but the treatments weren't working. Nothing was working. And then 3 weeks ago, she developed pneumonia, and I thought it was just complications from the immunosuppressants. But it wasn't, Walsh finished. The pneumonia was real, but it was brought on by systematic poisoning that had destroyed her immune system over months. David knew exactly what he was doing. He's a surgical nurse. He understands pharmacology, dosing, how to make death look natural. I thought I might throw up. Why are you telling me this? I managed to ask. Walsh leaned forward. Because we need your help. David doesn't know we're onto him, and right now he's planning something. What? Emma's business partner, Julia Brennan. She's the beneficiary of Emma's share of their marketing firm, 65% ownership, worth approximately $3 million. The insurance policy pays out to David, but Emma's business goes to Julia per their partnership agreement. My chest tightened. Julia, Emma's college roommate turned business partner. I'd seen her at the funeral, crying so hard she could barely stand. We think he's going to kill her too, Dr. Martinez said quietly. Julia's been asking questions about Emma's medical records, about the timeline of her illness. David knows she's suspicious. Where is Julia now? My voice sounded distant, not mine. At Emma's house, Walsh said. The post-funeral gathering. There are probably 60 people there right now. David invited everyone back for food and drinks to celebrate Emma's life. The irony was acid in my throat. We need you to go back, Walsh continued. We need you to wear a wire and get him talking about Emma's medication, about her symptoms, anything that proves he knew what he was doing. She pulled out a small recording device, professional grade, smaller than a quarter. I can't. My hands were shaking. I can't go back there and look at him and pretend. You're Emma's best friend, Dr. Martinez said. His eyes were wet. You've known her since high school. You were her maid of honor. David will talk to you. He trusts you. She was like a sister to me. The words broke on the way out. We grew up together. She was the first person I told when my mom died. She held my hand through my divorce. And he killed her, Walsh said. Not cruel, just factual. Slowly, painfully, while she trusted him to take care of her, while everyone thought she was just sick. I looked at the toxicology report again. Thallium levels, tissue samples, proof that my best friend had been murdered by the man who promised to love her until death did them part. He'd just hurried death along. What do you need me to do? I asked. 37 minutes earlier, I'd been standing at Emma's grave. The funeral had been beautiful. 200 people at St. Mary's Cathedral. White roses everywhere. Emma's favorite, her parents, destroyed. Her younger sister Megan sobbing in the front pew. David dressed in a perfect black suit, giving that speech that made everyone cry. Emma was my everything, he'd said, voice breaking at exactly the right moments. We had plans. We were going to start a family, travel to Italy, grow old together, and now he'd paused, wiped his eyes. Now I just have memories and love, so much love that it doesn't know where to go anymore. People had wept openly. I'd thought it was the most romantic thing I'd ever heard. Now I knew it was a performance. I pulled into Emma and David's driveway at 5:34 p.m. Cars lined the street. The house, a restored Craftsman they'd bought 3 years ago, Emma's dream home, was full of people. Through the windows, I could see clusters of mourners holding plates and wine glasses, sharing stories, crying together. David stood in the kitchen, visible through the bay window. Black suit, loosened tie, surrounded by Emma's family members, playing the grieving widower. The wire was taped under my bra, between my breasts. Walsh had placed it herself in the clinic bathroom, explained how it worked, how they'd be listening from a van 2 blocks away, how if I felt unsafe, if anything went wrong, I just needed to say the phrase, "I need some air," and they'd move in immediately. Get him alone if you can, Walsh had said. Ask about Emma's medications, her vitamins, anything medical. Let him explain. Let him be the expert. Men like him love to explain things. Now I sat in my car, hands gripping the steering wheel, trying to remember how to breathe. Emma was murdered by David, the man she'd met at a hospital charity gala 7 years ago. The man she'd fallen in love with because he was kind and gentle and made her feel safe. Safe. I got out of the car. Inside, the house smelled like catered food, and too many people in a space meant for quiet family dinners. Emma's Aunt Margaret was crying in the living room, her college friends huddled by the fireplace, her parents sat on the couch looking hollowed out. David saw me immediately. Sarah. He crossed the room and pulled me into a hug. He smelled like expensive cologne and something antiseptic, clinical. Thank you for coming back. I know this is hard. His voice was warm, sincere, the voice of a man destroyed by grief. I wanted to scream. Of course, I said. Emma would want us all together. She would. He smiled sadly. Can I get you some wine? I think we're out of white, but there's red. Actually, can we talk? Somewhere private? His expression shifted just slightly. Sure, let's go to the study. We walked through the house, past people who loved Emma, who had no idea her husband had killed her. The study was at the back of the house. Emma's space, her desk with the Tiffany lamp I'd given her for her 30th birthday, her bookshelves full of marketing texts and romance novels, photos of us everywhere, high school graduation, college road trips, her wedding day. David closed the door. What's on your mind? He asked gently. I've been thinking about Emma, about how sick she got. I kept my voice steady, sad. It was so fast. Just a few months and she was... I know. He sat on the edge of her desk. The doctor said it was aggressive. Lupus can be like that. Unpredictable. Did she ever mention changing her medication those last few months? Something flickered across his face. Quick. There and gone. What do you mean? Just, I visited her in August. She seemed weaker, different. I wondered if they'd adjusted her treatment. David's jaw tightened. Why are you asking me this? Because I'm trying to understand how someone so healthy could just fade away like that. She had an autoimmune disease, Sarah. These things happen, do they? I met his eyes. Because I've been reading about lupus, and Emma's symptoms didn't quite match. The hair loss was bilateral, but lupus usually causes patchy loss, and her skin rashes. They were on her palms and soles. That's unusual for lupus. His expression changed, the mask slipping. You've been researching? His voice had an edge now. I needed to understand what happened to my best friend. What happened is that she got sick, and she died, and now you need to let her rest. Is that what you told Dr. Martinez? I asked. When he asked about her vitamin regimen, David went very still. What? He mentioned it at the funeral, said he'd been reviewing her case. Medical curiosity, he called it. Dr. Martinez doesn't know what he's talking about. David stood up. He missed the diagnosis for months. If he'd caught it earlier, maybe she would have lived? Maybe. Or maybe, I said carefully, someone didn't want her to live. The silence stretched between us. What are you implying? His voice was cold now, flat. I pulled out my phone, hands shaking, but I tried to hide it. I'm implying that thallium poisoning looks a lot like autoimmune disease until until someone runs the right toxicology panel. David's face went white. Where did you? Dr. Martinez ran private labs. After Emma died, he had a bad feeling. I was making this up as I went, following Walsh's instructions. Make him think we already had proof. Make him confess. He found thallium in her hair samples, in her nail clippings, concentrations that could only come from systematic dosing over months. David's hands clenched into fists. You're lying, he said. That's not possible. I was careful. I switched the samples before they went to the lab. I made sure. He stopped, realized what he'd just said. I felt ice flood my veins. You switched the samples, I repeated. My voice was shaking now. You made sure they wouldn't find the poison. You killed her. She was going to leave me, he said. The words came out fast, desperate. I saw the texts. She was planning to divorce me, take everything, the house, the cars, half the insurance money. After everything I'd done for her, you murdered her. I freed her, he was shouting now. She was miserable. The business was failing. She was stressed all the time. She wasn't sleeping. So you decided to kill her? For money? $4.2 million. His face was red, twisted, nothing like the gentleman from this morning. Do you know how long I've worked my ass off as a nurse, taking orders from doctors who make 10 times what I do, and Emma gets to own a business, make 6 figures while I'm emptying bedpans? She loved you, I whispered. She loved the idea of me. Sweet nurse David. Safe, reliable David. He laughed, bitter. She had no idea who I really was, what I was capable of. The study door opened. Detective Walsh walked in, 2 uniformed officers behind her. A 3rd officer stood in the hallway with a camera, recording. David Whitmore, Walsh said, her voice calm and professional. You're under arrest for the murder of Emma Whitmore. David's legs buckled. He grabbed the desk to stay upright. No, this is Sarah, you? I'm wearing a wire, I said. We recorded everything. His face crumpled. You bitch! You fucking bitch! The officers moved in fast, spun him around, cuffed him. He fought them, thrashing like an animal. She was going to destroy me, he screamed. Take everything I worked for. I deserved that money. I earned it by putting up with her for 8 years. You earned nothing, I said. My voice was steady now, cold. You're a murderer! They read him his rights as they dragged him toward the door, through the hallway, into the living room, where everyone was still eating and drinking and grieving. The room went silent as they paraded David through it in handcuffs. Emma's mother, Margaret, stood up slowly. What's happening? Walsh turned to face the room. David Whitmore has been arrested for the murder of Emma Whitmore. New evidence proves she was systematically poisoned over a 7-month period. The screaming started then. Emma's father lunged at David, had to be held back by 3 men. Emma's sister Megan collapsed. Julia Brennan, Emma's business partner, the woman David had probably planned to kill next, stood frozen by the fireplace, hand over her mouth. You killed her? Margaret's voice was barely a whisper. You killed my baby? David was crying now. She was going to leave me. She was going to take everything. So you murdered her? Emma's father roared. My daughter? Your wife? They pushed David outside. News crews were already there. Walsh had tipped them off, she'd told me. Wanted the public to see. Wanted everyone to know what he'd done. Camera flashes exploded as they loaded him into the patrol car. I could hear him screaming through the closed doors. Incoherent. Desperate. I stood on the porch and watched them drive away. Behind me, Emma's family was destroying the house, throwing his belongings out the windows, ripping up photos. Someone smashed the television. Someone else was sobbing into the phone, calling relatives with the news. Walsh touched my arm. You did good. We have everything we need. That confession combined with the toxicology evidence and the switched samples, he's going away for life. Good. You should know we found his laptop. He'd been researching thallium poisoning for over a year. How to administer it, how to hide it. He downloaded medical journals, case studies of murders that looked like natural deaths. He planned this meticulously. How long would it have taken, I asked, for Emma to die? The doses he was giving her? 6 to 8 months for complete organ failure. She lasted 7. I thought about Emma's last few months, how she'd gotten so weak she couldn't leave bed, how her hair had fallen out in clumps, how she'd cried to me about losing herself, about not recognizing her own body anymore. He'd watched her suffer every single day while pretending to be the devoted husband. Julia would have been next, Walsh said quietly. We found searches on his computer about insulin overdoses. He'd been researching her schedule, her habits, planning it for after the insurance money cleared. My stomach turned. Emma's business was worth $3 million, Walsh continued. With both Emma and Julia dead, it would have gone to their families. But David had been positioning himself as the logical buyer, had already approached their lawyer about making an offer. So he would have had $7 million total, and no wife, no witnesses, no one who suspected anything, except Dr. Martinez. Raymond saved Julia's life, maybe more people, if he hadn't trusted his instincts. She trailed off. Anyway, you should go home. Get some rest. We'll need a formal statement tomorrow, but for now, I want to see her. What? Emma? I want to see her grave. Walsh nodded slowly. I'll drive you. The cemetery was empty at 7:23 p.m. Golden hour light filtered through the oak trees. Emma's grave was still fresh, the dirt mounded up, flowers piled on top. I knelt in the grass. I got him, I whispered. Emma, I got him. He's going to prison. He's going to lose everything. The wind rustled the flowers. I'm sorry I didn't know. I'm sorry I didn't see it. You were so sick, and I just believed. My voice broke. I believed believed what he told us. I thought you had lupus. I thought you were just unlucky. I pulled out my phone, scrolled through our last text conversation from 3 weeks ago, the last time Emma had been strong enough to text. Emma, I love you. Thanks for being my person. Me, always. See you tomorrow. But I hadn't seen her tomorrow. She'd been admitted to the hospital that night with pneumonia, been intubated, gone into organ failure, died 6 days later with David holding her hand, crying about what a tragedy it all was. He won't get away with it, I said to the grave. I promise you, Em, he won't get away with any of it. I stayed until the sun set, until the groundskeeper came to lock the gates, until Walsh gently said it was time to go. 3 months later, I sat in a courtroom and watched David Whitmore get sentenced. First-degree murder, 1 count. Attempted murder, 1 count for Julia Brennan. They'd found enough evidence of his planning to charge him. Fraud, multiple counts for the insurance scheme. The judge, Honorable Patricia Morrison, 26 years on the bench, looked at David with open disgust. Mr. Whitmore, you systematically poisoned your wife over 7 months. You watched her suffer. You pretended to care for her while you were killing her. You planned to murder her business partner for additional financial gain. This court finds your actions to be among the most calculated and callous I've seen in my career. She paused. Life in prison without possibility of parole. Emma's family erupted in applause. David's face crumpled. His lawyer, a public defender who looked exhausted, closed her briefcase and walked away. Outside the courthouse, reporters swarmed. Dr. Martinez was there. Julia Brennan, Emma's parents. How do you feel about the verdict? Someone asked Margaret, Emma's mother. Justice doesn't bring my daughter back, she said. Her voice was raw, but knowing he'll never hurt anyone else again, that helps. Ms. Chen, another reporter called to me. You were instrumental in getting David Whitmore's confession. What made you suspicious? I thought about it, about all. The times David had said the right things, done the right things, played the perfect husband. I wasn't suspicious, I said honestly. Not until Dr. Martinez called me. I believe David completely. I think that's the scariest part. He was so good at pretending. If Dr. Martinez hadn't trusted his instincts, David would have gotten away with it. Do you have any message for people watching? I looked directly at the camera. Trust your instincts. If something feels wrong, investigate. And if someone you love gets suddenly mysteriously sick, demand answers. Real answers. Don't just accept what you're told.